Trauma bonding can create a psychological addiction to a narcissist, which is why weaning yourself off them is like weaning yourself off any powerful drug. When it comes to being in a relationship with a narcissistic person, there is so many layers to unpack to gain the understanding of not only what you have been through, but who they actually were as a person and who you became as a person, and how to then gain a better life for yourself with the understanding. We can all be naive when we don't have the information. So this video is to explore more about the trauma bonding when it comes to a narcissistic relationship. Now, when it comes to a good majority of narcissistic people, they are going to sell you an illusion of who you would like them to be, based on who you are as a person. They're not going to be forthright in telling you who they are as a person, because they barely know within themselves, and if they do know, they don't want to admit this to you or to those around you. So they're going to get to know all your likes and dislikes so that they can mirror those, so that they can claim they want the same things as you. It's very easy when you meet somebody who lets you know from the outset that they want to travel and you don't want to travel. You know there's a big mismatch going off there before you even begin. So you can politely part ways or just remain friends. Or you can discuss it and say, oh, well, I don't mind, but I'm more into doing this. And you can find that compromise, that middle ground. However, when you meet a narcissistic person, tell them you want to go travelling and they are going to want to go travelling. This is when they'll start exaggerating things and coming up with things that don't quite make sense to you. Yet when you speak up, and you don't want to put them down, so you don't want to tell them that they're particularly wrong in the information. You've only just met the person. If you try to bring the conversation onto the information you know, they find a way to laugh it off or change the subject because they don't know that information. They're just mirroring who you are as a person to sell you an illusion, a false idea, a belief of something that will never be. They're looking to future fake with you. And you build that connection with them because this creates a strong desire within you to make it work with them, because they want the same things as you. You know how much you would like those things out of your life, as you care about this person because you're getting to know them for who you are, not who they are. So as you care about them, you don't want to let them down because you know how passionate you are about achieving those dreams. And a narcissistic person will go all out to blame you as to why these dreams haven't come to fruition, of to why these dreams aren't becoming a reality. And we all know that we can hit obstacles in life and it's never a smooth, straight sailing path. So we can often then try harder to make it work with them, not recognizing they don't actually want these things with us. They are the very person who's sabotaging these things. However, with their underhand covert sabotage, they're blaming us. So again, we work harder to please them. That emotional connection, that emotional bond, we can also end up with that object constancy. So even when there is disagreements, conflict, distance, we still actually care about that person. Narcissistic people tend to be lacking in this. Therefore, when there is distance, they've switched off. They find a new source of supply. They're not missing you. They might miss the things that you supply them, but they don't miss who you are as a person. All those highs of the relationship, when they're selling you that illusion, when they're doing things for you, because they're wanting to use the things they do for you against you later down the line, releases so many chemicals such as dopamine, which puts you on that high. And then all the stresses of the relationship, when things aren't going right, releases things such as cortisol, which can have a negative impact on your physical health also. With that cortisol and that dopamine crossing over all the time, you get chemically addicted to the life you're living, to the environment you are in. which is often why once you're out of the relationship and believe that you're recovered from that relationship and you meet someone who is non-narcissistic, who is calm and supportive, it doesn't feel right because you're not getting those hits either way. It's a lot calmer and a lot smoother. Yes, stresses happen, so you get the normal amount of cortisol to deal with that stress, and the happiness happens, so you get, but you're not getting them in the extremes that you do within a narcissistic relationship. There's also fear. Narcissistic people condition you to not only live in fear of them, but live in fear of losing your dreams, losing your hopes, live in fear of losing your home, losing your reputation, losing your children. So that fear also creates a bond with them where you begin to fawn to their demands of you, the survival mechanism form, out of fear of what will happen if you don't. And when you live in that survival mode for a prolonged period of time, it becomes who you are as a person. So there's lots of different layers to understanding the trauma bond. And in order to break the trauma bond, distance is one of the first things you need. No contact is another, if possible, so that you don't get drawn back into them when they come playing nice and with the hoover and the false promises and the breadcrumbing and the intermittent reinforcement just to dash your hopes all over again. Narcissistic people thrive on your trust and your hope. When you lose all faith within them, when you lose all hope, is when you make a decision that enough is enough, and as hard as it is, you can then walk away and begin a new day and start living your life for you again. Doing this, there is a grieving process to it. Even though they were toxic, they were hurtful, there is a grieving process. You live that life with them. You can potentially remember the good times and remember the love you felt, so long as that doesn't send you spiraling back towards them. You live that moment. So however you want to think about that moment is up to you, so long as it doesn't put you back in a negative place. You can use those moments of, that's why I stayed for so long, rather than, why didn't I see? And then once you are out of the situation, you need to find something in your life. You can go back to those dreams that you had and create them for yourself, for who you are, for what you want out of your life. Because they're going to release very similar chemicals when you go through the good times and when you go through the bad times. Only it will be to achieve a goal, and you will not be reliant on somebody else to achieve that goal with. You will be looking to achieve that goal for you. So the only person that can let you down is you. The only person who's responsible is you. You can find people that want to walk with you, just don't become reliant on them to the point where they can destroy those dreams for you. Have it so that you can still attain those dreams. When you have an aim for something that you enjoy, you're going to have those moments, you're going to have those days where everything's going well and you're ahead of the game, and it gives you that feel-good moment and you can keep going. And then you're going to have those days where things just don't seem to go right and you need to find a new approach, you need to find a new way. You're going to be overworked, you're going to fall behind, you're going to be stressed, you're going to want to give up, which is only going to make you feel worse. That's when you've got to push through. Yes, that stress and that cortisol would hit. It can cause negative impacts on you. However, if you push through, it doesn't stay around for too long, and you can keep going to achieve the things that you want out of your life. And another thing is routines. We get into that routine. We are creatures of habit to one extent. So we get into that routine, and then when that routine changes, It's difficult to adapt to a new routine. However, sometimes it's not the person you miss, it's the routine. So by creating a new routine means you can then distance yourself from your past to live in your present and create a happier future. Life is suffering. There's always going to be some form of suffering in life, and it's what you do about it. Narcissistic people play the victim and make everybody else suffer. Genuine people question whether they were the victim or the perpetrator and go all out to try and help others and make it so other people don't have to suffer the same things they've been through. If anyone has any thoughts on this video or anything that helped them overcome the trauma bond, because what works for one person doesn't work for another. So you can listen to something and think, that's wrong, that's not going to work for me. And it might not work for you. And if you've got the attitude that it's not going to work for you, it's not going to work for you. I believe it was Henry Ford who said, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're probably right. So if you've got the attitude it's not going to work, it's not going to work, yet when you hear something else that someone else did and you can think, that's a brilliant idea, that could work for me, that's going to work, and you try it and it works for you. So it's finding what helps you. So if anyone has anything that helped them overcome the trauma bond, please do add those into the comments for people reading through, because you never know who it might help. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers, and your continued support with the channel is greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about narcissistic behaviour to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with within your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and different methods to find what works for you to help you understand and overcome narcissistic and emotional abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, please do subscribe. If you are looking for further help and support in understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, I do have several online guides available, and those teachable links are in the video description. If you're looking for someone to speak to, I have partnered with BetterHelp, and their sponsored link is also in the video description. I do also have a new book out, which is 15 Rules to Deal with Narcissistic People, which is out now on Amazon, and I'll add the link to that in the video description. Go out there and create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.